inspired by going to India and actually meeting some people who were differently abled. So I will admit that a couple of months ago, before writing this essay, before going to India, I would never have thought about disabilities and special needs people because that simply wasn't on my radar. But then on a recent trip to India, I met Shiv Kumar, a man who I talked about in my essay actually. And he was a veteran and he lost both his legs at war. And I was shocked when I learned that because he lost his legs, he faced discrimination. His family mistreated him. His relatives turned their backs on him. And it was really horrifying to learn about that. And it pushed me to learn more about people who are special needs and differently abled. And then I learned that I actually had relatives who are neurodivergent, but I never met them because due to the stigma in India, they were essentially kept away in their houses. They almost never left. And so then I saw about this essay and I decided that I wanted to give a voice to these people because clearly they hadn't had one. And I wanted to share their stories and hopefully fight for some sort of change so that people don't have to live like this in the future and so that India would become a more welcoming place for everybody. So I learned a lot while writing this essay. Actually, it was kind of difficult for me to write because while writing it, I was exposed for the first time to the harsh realities of life that people who are differently able to go through. I learned about children who were almost murdered by their parents because they were differently abled and because of the stigma. And that was absolutely horrifying for me to hear about. But while that was horrifying, I also saw some great aspects of change. I learned about organizations that help those children, that take them away from families that mistreat them and give them education and proper services. I actually, when I went to India, I visited a cafe where they employ people who are differently able to give them jobs. And I learned about all this change that's happening. And actually, that also inspired me because I wanted to be a part of that change and to help make India a fairer and better place for everybody. So, as a finalist, I hope to use this unique position to be able to spread awareness about this issue. Because I think the reason why stigma and discrimination is happening right now so much in India is simply because people don't understand what's happening. They don't understand that these people are still people and that they're worthy and deserving of respect. So I hope to use this position as a finalist and to use my essay to be able to educate people in India and to hopefully push them for change, the same way that I was inspired to push for change, so that ultimately we can make India a place that is disability and special needs friendly. Well, I am really honored to be runner up. And as runner ups, that's even more of a unique position. And so I hope to use this essay and to use my position now to be able to hopefully maybe speak with some organizations to tell them about what my experience, what I've learned, what I think we can do to fight for more change on the issue and to help children who are special needs and anyone who has disabilities or is differently abled in India to help make it a better country for everybody. Actually, so I want to speak a little bit about. So I think most of the time, and in my essay especially, I talked a lot about from a human rights point of view why we should fix this issue. But I think people don't realize that developmentally, to help India progress as a nation, we also do need to fix this issue because if there is so much stigma and discrimination around people who are special needs and differently able to the point where they essentially cannot leave their houses, we're missing out on the economic benefit that these people could add to our economy because they're essentially dependent on their family and their friends. So by making a nation where they receive proper education and where the infrastructure is able to support them to the point where they can properly travel to and from jobs, we'll actually become a richer nation because instead of being dependent, they'll be able to earn for themselves and be able to properly support themselves.